Chapter 4: Sorting Materials into Groups.
Introduction. Curiosity is characteristic of human beings. Our quest to learn more about ourselves and nature has helped us evolve from ape-like creatures to modern-day Homo sapiens. But it is very difficult to study everything individually. We generally study about similar things together. In other words, we make groups of things. Why group things? Look around your class. You and all your classmates are studying in class 6. You are known by your class in the school. Similarly, you may be a member of a particular house or a house sports team in your school. All people are a part of one or more group. In your neighborhood, you are a member of your community based on the state you belong to or the language you speak. Human beings always group the living and non-living things into various categories. This is done for a number of reasons. The main reason for this is to avoid chaos and make our work systematic. Imagine if in a school, students did not sit according to their class. How difficult it will be for the teacher to carry out the lessons. Similarly, if a grocery shopkeeper kept all the things in his shop in a heap or in a mixed-up manner, how difficult will it be for him to find a particular thing? So, making groups of similar things is necessary. Let us learn how things around us can be grouped. What is classification? Grouping of things is called classification. This means that we are putting things in different groups or classes based on one of their characteristics. These characteristics can be any of the properties of the object, such as its shape, appearance, or behavior towards another object. Since an object can have many characteristics, we can classify it in different categories. Let us take an example of a football and examine its properties. It is round in shape and is made of leather. It bounces back when dropped and floats on water. So we can classify it based on any of these properties. Hence, a football can be included in more than one group. Now, consider different types of balls used in different sports, like tennis ball, table tennis ball, cricket ball, volleyball, football, rugby ball, and hockey ball. All these have different sizes. Some of them have different shapes too. But most importantly, they may be made from different materials. Some are made from plastic and others from rubber or leather depending upon the requirement of the game. Similarly, a glass can be made from metal or glass or plastic depending upon its purpose and people's needs. On the other hand, the same material can be used to make different objects. For example, rubber is used to make not only balls but also tires, gloves, erasers, rubber bands, and pipes. When an object is made, the material to make it is chosen depending upon the shape, size, and the use of the object. For example, for making cooking utensils, we need a material which can allow heat to pass through it and which can withstand the high temperature of the flame. Some such materials are aluminium, stainless steel, and copper. We cannot use plastic or rubber for this purpose because they melt when heated. Hence, it is very important to study the properties of materials before using them to make useful objects. Let us learn about the properties of some materials around us.
What are properties of materials? There are a large number of materials around us. Some of these are obtained from nature and others are made by human beings. Different materials have different properties which help us to use them for different purposes. Some of these properties are as follows. Texture. Texture means how a material feels to touch. Run your hand over the stem of a tree in the playground and also on a window pane in your class. What difference did you feel? The stem of the tree is rough, whereas the window pane is smooth.
Rough substances have uneven surface with ridges.
Smooth substances have plain surfaces without any ridge. Rope, jute, coir, and sandpaper are examples of rough objects. Luster. Some materials that we see shine, whereas others do not. Luster refers to the property of a substance to shine. Luster arises when the surface of a material reflects a part of the light that falls on it. Most metals and alloys such as gold, silver, platinum, copper and bronze have luster, and hence they are used to make jewelry and statues. Sometimes a metal does not appear lustrous. This is because it reacts with air and gets covered with a layer of a non-lustrous chemical substance. If this layer is cleaned off with a sandpaper, the lustrous surface of the metal becomes visible. Look for an aluminium utensil or object at home. Rub one of its corners with a sandpaper or simply make a small mark with a knife or a pin. You will be able to see the fresh and shiny surface of the metal. Hardness. Ask your mother to give you a small piece of chapati dough. Now take this dough in one of your hands and a small stone in the other hand. Close your fists and squeeze both the things. Which one changes shape? Stone is a hard substance, while dough is soft. Hard substances cannot be compressed or scratched easily. Metals, rocks and wood are examples of hard substances, whereas cotton, wool and paper are some soft substances. Hard substances are generally heavier and denser than soft substances. State: all materials exist in one of three forms, namely solid, liquid and gas. Most substances that we use are solid. They have a definite shape and occupy definite volume. Substances like water and oil are liquids. They occupy volume but do not have specific shape. They take the shape of the container in which they are stored. Air is a mixture of gases. These neither have definite shape nor definite volume. Helium is a gas that is used to fill balloons. Nitrogen and neon gases are filled in the street lights. Transparency. We can look through a plain glass, but we cannot look through a wall or a wooden door. Glass is said to be transparent, but the wall is opaque. A transparent substance allows light to pass through it. An opaque substance does not allow light to pass through it. Generally, opaque substances are denser than transparent substances and absorb or reflect the light that falls on them. There is another type of substance which allows light to pass through them partially. These are called translucent. You will be able to see objects through a translucent substance but not clearly.
Glass is used to make windows and walls of buildings because it allows light to pass through it. In grocery stores, most of the grocery items are stored in transparent containers so that they are easy to locate. In the market, most shopkeepers showcase their products in a glass window in front of their shops so that people can see them as they pass. How do materials behave? Soluble and insoluble substances. Take 2 glasses and add some water to each. With your mother's help, add a teaspoonful of salt in one and pepper in the other. Stir them with spoons and wait for a minute. Observe each glass. You will find the salt disappear, whereas the pepper settles down in the glass. This is because salt is soluble in water, while pepper is insoluble. In other words, we can say that salt dissolves in water, but pepper does not. A substance is said to be soluble in water when on mixing with water, it disappears completely and the solution is transparent. Salt, sugar and many other chemical substances are soluble in water. In fact, water is called a wonder liquid because of its ability to dissolve so many substances in it. This property of water is very useful for the functioning of our body. It dissolves many substances and carries them to different parts of the body. some gases also dissolve in liquid. For example, the oxygen that we inhale while breathing dissolves in the blood and is carried to every cell of the body. Similarly, oxygen dissolved in water is used up by aquatic organisms for respiration. Most cold drinks have carbon dioxide dissolved in them. The liquids which mix completely and form uniform solutions are called miscible liquids. Liquids which do not mix and form separate layers are called immiscible liquids. Floating and sinking. What will happen if you drop a coin and a dry leaf in a bucket full of water? The coin will fall to the bottom of the bucket, but the leaf will remain on the surface of water. The coin sinks, but the leaf floats. Different objects can be classified based on whether they float or sink. An object floats or sinks depending upon the force exerted by the water on it, called buoyant force. In this lesson, we explored that the properties of different objects help us to classify them. However, there are millions of different materials with different properties. It is not possible to learn about all of them. As you go to higher classes, you will learn about more materials, their properties and classification.